This is for the Japanese sidebound book. You will need a template with 4 holes poked in it. You'll need an awl. You'll need 2 binder clips. And you'll need a needle and thread. A bookbinding needle is best. Then you'll need a template folded in half lengthwise, 2 cover sheets, and 10 sheets for your text paper. Tamp them down, the paper that is. Place the covers, sandwich them around the text paper. Tamp it down. And then put your binder clips on the top and the bottom of the book. Put each binder clip towards the edge, not real close, but somewhat close to the edge. All right, now you'll put your binder clips, your template under the binder clips. And make sure your template is as close to the edge as you can get it. The template is made by poking 4 holes along the center fold. Fold your template in half lengthwise and just poke 4 holes. You can measure it with your ruler or you can just eyeball it. For this book, I'd probably measure it with a ruler. Now you're ready to poke 4 holes. And make sure when you're poking the holes that you're going all the way through the book. Just like that. And you're going to repeat the process 3 more times. All right. Once you've finished, you have 4 nice holes poked in the template. You want to remove the template. Keep the binder clips in place though. You don't want to sew your template to the book. And you can use your template for other books too. Then take up your needle and you're going to go through the first hole or sewing station from the back to the front. And you want to leave about a 4-inch tail at the end. So leave a 4-inch tail once you get that needle through that first hole. Then you're going to sew a stitch perpendicular to the spine, and then you're going to go back through station 1. Back through station 1. And you're going to pull it out. So now you have 1 stitch perpendicular to the spine. Now you're going to make a stitch over the top of the book parallel to the spine. And then you're going to go back through that same hole. Make sure that you're keeping the thread nice and taut when you sew it in the book. Not too taut that you wrinkle your paper, but taut enough so that it lies nice and flat against that paper. All right, so now you've gone through that hole 3 times. on the front of your book, you're going to go through the second sewing station perpendicular, not perpendicular, parallel to your spine. So you'll get that nice parallel stitch. Now you want to put the next stitch over the spine and back through that hole. So you have a stitch that's perpendicular to your spine. And the thread gets a little bit mussed up there, and you just want to pull it all the way through so it's taut against the book. All right, so you have 2 stitches perpendicular to the spine and 2 stitches parallel to the spine. Now you're going to sew through station 3 on the back, and you'll find on the front that it looks like you've skipped a stitch. Don't worry about that yet. You'll go back and fill that in. You don't want 2 stitches anywhere. So you can see there it's a blank stitch. We're going to fill it in on our way back around. Okay, and then you're going to stitch over the spine again. And now you're going to go through that 4th hole, so you're going to have a stitch parallel to the spine. So you should have 3 stitches that are perpendicular to the spine and a bunch of stitches that are parallel to the spine. Next, we're going to do our final stitch over the spine. So we're going to have 4 stitches over the spine, and this is the last one. And next, you will stitch over the bottom of the book. So you'll stitch into that last sewing station, and like the first sewing station, it's going to be a lot of stitches through that hole. So now we're going to fill in those blank spots we left. So sewing back up through the third sewing station. We're going to fill in that stitch parallel to the spine, and then we're going to sew that other stitch into the spine. So we're back on our first sewing station, or not our first sewing station, we're on our second sewing station. And then what we're going to do is we'll tie off that knot in a second. All right, We can unthread our needle now, and then we're going to tie off that knot. And we're going to put that knot over our first sewing station. And once we get that knot tied, we'll trim the book. We'll trim that thread, and the stitch or the knot will be sort of sticking out of the book, and you'll have two threads. But what you should do is put your needle through the thread and fray the stitches, or not the stitches, but the thread, the end of the thread, and then the knot won't come out. All right, now you have a Japanese side stitch.